Oh boy, I don't know if you're ready for this, but we're gonna bring it on out there. Look at what they are representing in their belief system. Yellow,
Shannon,
what's up, buddy?
how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
Doing all right today, man?
Yes, sir. Doing good, man.
Excellent, excellent, man. Today we're joined with Shannon Butler, aka Barney Rubble.
Oh, get out of here.
Oh man, no. In all seriousness, today we're joined with a good friend of mine, Shannon Butler. Shannon was a collegiate football player at Northern Arizona University. Was part of the 2017 Hall of Fame class. Man, congratulations.
Hey, appreciate that, brother. For real, appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, your team was you guys are the Big Sky champions in '03. So you guys just
Right.
did everything when we left, man, huh? You guys did everything when we left, man, in '03, man.
Hey. Sometimes when you get rid of that dead weight, you can
Yeah.
make some things happen. You know what I'm
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Hey man, it's all about you today, man. So I'm not going to hit back. You know what I'm saying?
saying? My boy.
Oh man, Shannon Butler obviously had a great college career as a football player, and now you're doing big things, man. You're a pastor in the Greater Phoenix area, with Redemption Church. You're also a chaplain in the minor league system with the San
Yeah.
Francisco Giants, man. So you just touching and impacting lives in a big time way, man.
Absolutely, man. Just doing the best I can and doing my part. You know what I mean? Man, there was a lot of dudes in the faith that was able to impact my life, man. And I feel like to pay homage is to give back. The best way to be able to show your appreciation for what guys have done and meant for your life. So yeah,
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. A lot of people are probably looking at the title of this particular podcast and wondering, man, faith and performance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
what are we doing here? And to be clear, you are a pastor. Uh,
right,
but to also be further clear, we're not talking about religion today.
correct,
We're not talking
correct.
about religion. We're talking about faith, the very core of what people believe in, what you call belief systems, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and so, my first question to you is, why is faith so important, man, for athletes? Why is it so important for coaches? Why is faith so important?
If you look at just the definition of faith, it's the complete trust in someone or something, and you got to trust, man, that your coaches are putting you in the best position to succeed. You got to trust that, their leg work, as far as preparation, as far as scouting, as far as um, the talent search, all of that stuff, man, is being put into place to make the team and then the individuals better. And then you look at, your teammates, man, being able to trust your teammates, being have faith in them that they're going to do their assignment, do their role, play their part, whether that be, on the field, off the field. Man, you just got to have faith that's going to happen. You know what I mean? So it plays a very significant role in, whatever sport or whatever dynamic you're in and all of life.
I like that. I like how you said that. That was beautifully worded. You said that,
Yeah.
faith is a complete trust, and you would probably agree that in order to be a high level performer or to be a high performing organization, there has to be faith on multiple levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't there's no way you can get to a level, especially outside of the collegiate level, and it just be a one way street. It has to be multiple levels in order for the thing to work, man, in order for all the components to come together. So absolutely.
I mean, you've played on literally championship teams, and you're part of a Hall of Fame class. And I mean, you could attest better than anyone that if you don't have faith, you're not going to be able to win championships.
You better believe it, bro. Matter of
Yeah, man.
fact, When it comes down to those simple things like that, as far as putting in that extra work and knowing, putting that faith and trust in not only in your own performance but in your teammates' performance and your teammates' abilities. I mean, if you don't have that trust or faith in them, I mean, you basically kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So yeah, you definitely have to have that in order to be successful.
No doubt, no doubt. Even in the realm of psychology, we have this thing called self-efficacy. Basically, your ability to believe that you can execute a task. And what the research has shown us, to your point that you just made, Shannon, is that when an athlete believes in his teammates, and when an athlete believes in the quality of coaching that he's receiving, his faith, his self-efficacy improves, his confidence improves. So what you're saying
Yeah.
is hitting on all levels, man. So let me ask you the next question here. So you think faith is important? Let's use a different word, a belief system.
Okay. Okay.
In any NFL locker room, in any Major League Baseball locker room, in any NHL locker room, any minor league locker room, there are arguably individuals in there that share different belief systems. There's Muslims, there
Yep.
are Christians, there
Yep.
are people of the Jewish faith
Yep.
and background, Sikh, you have Hindu,
Yep.
Buddhist, arguably from all walks of life.
Right.
My,
Right. Right.
my question to you is, should every individual have a belief system, and why? Is it okay? Is it okay to be just cool and like, hey man, I don't need that. I'm good. Like I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. You know what? Because you were naming some of the different religions and stuff, and some people would even throw in the fact that they don't believe in a higher power or any other spiritual being. That that in itself is its own religion. And here's the point. You don't have to believe in anything, right? But um the fact that the importance of having a belief system is just simply you having faith or you having this trust factor that what you're doing really matters.
Hmm.
And here's a quote, man, I love by Henry Ford. He says, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
Oh yeah.
So if you think you can do it, if you think you can't, you're right.
Hmm.
Now, again, when we're talking about the high level athlete, and the athletes that are in the 1 percentile, you know what I mean? And when it comes to being a professional athlete, um, those dudes have a belief system in themselves that their gifts and abilities have gotten them to a place where they're able to achieve that type of success or whatever their sporting is, whatever their sport or activity is. Now, as far as a belief system and the importance of it, I mean, just think about it. If you don't believe in yourself, then who will?
Hmm.
If you don't believe in your own abilities, then who will? Not only that, um, you got to believe, but your coaches got to believe in you too.
No doubt.
They gotta know that, man. This guy, not only can he get it done, but he can get it done when it counts
Hmm.
at a pressure in a pressure moments. You know what I mean? He can we can count on this dude. And so those all those things they go hand in hand.
Well
And
said.
play a Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, that's well said, man. Let me ask you this: why is faith so controversial?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you had to um, kind of put it out there from right from the jump that even though we're talking about faith, this is not a necessarily a religious conversation, and I think it's based upon that within itself that most people when they identify faith, they automatically identify it with a religious practice. And I think, the controversy is, people have their different views and different takes on, whether it be religious or non-religious. And that kind of tends to spark, within, the people's own, walks of life of, whether faith has been something of importance to them or not. It hadn't meant nothing to them, up until to this point of life. And so I think it gets to that point where it gets controversial is when people start acting out their particular faith that doesn't line up with other people's particular line of faith. And when you start putting that out there, and people are not necessarily feeling what your faith is backing up, then you get a lot of the turmoil and people up in arms, about different things.
Okay, well, that no great, great point. You made a great point, but man, let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Talk to
You,
me.
you have an athlete like Tim Tebow. Okay,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Arguably didn't do anything wrong, before he made his exit from the NFL. Good dude, you
Yep.
know, um, and what he stood for was a beacon of light for so many people, but was almost repulsive to others, right? And then you have
Correct.
on the
Yeah,
other end of the spectrum, you have a Colin Kaepernick, who
yeah,
what he stood for was a beacon to some people, repulsive to others.
yeah,
And I've gotten a chance to meet both of these guys on a very surface level, and I'll tell you that both of them are staunch in their beliefs, and both of
yeah,
them are hardworking guys. Everyone who knows them would tell you the same, but their belief systems are so they're so solid, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they're so staunch that even people that don't know them are they identify with them, and it becomes polarizing. How do you explain that dynamic, man? And how do you mend that and reconcile that within the locker room?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. See, and here's the deal. What I said earlier about people having different belief systems that don't necessarily line up with other people's belief systems. Those particular dudes in particular, I believe, they have a marginalized faith or belief system within the culture that we're living in. So, in other words, they're kind of the minority with what they're believing in.
Mm.
And because of that, you gonna get more people to be more outspoken against what they're standing for, what their belief system is. I look at, man, you was talking about with Tim Tebow, man. I mean, how does a dude win a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers one year and be out of a job the following season, or be out of a job by the off season? Now,
Great question.
granted, by them signing Peyton Manning, it definitely boded well for their team, and John Elway made a few points about there's no way that they can keep a guy like that on the team, on the roster, without being the guy after performing the way he did. And so it begs you to ask the question of, is this more than the game? What is really underlying in some of these decisions?
Without okay, I don't want to cut you off because I want to keep you.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I want you to keep going. But you made a very powerful point, and I want you to answer your own question.
Yeah,
I want you to answer your own question in a yes or no. You don't have to explain it right now, but I want you to answer your own question, yes or no.
go ahead.
Is this dynamic more than the game?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yes. Oh, yes. Anybody who can't see that these types of um individuals um that has more than football, that brings more to the table than football in these kind of organizations, or whether it be baseball, whether it be any other sport,
Hmm.
but primarily with team sports, you become like a sideshow, or you become like a circus act. And so I heard a couple of guys, they were talking about, GMs view some of these guys as like this circus act, and they don't want a circus act, that causes this camaraderie in the locker room and so forth. But here's what again, my belief system is on it kind of tilts on this side of things, of those guys have a belief system that is contradicting to what the team or the organization is trying to get accomplished.
Hmm.
Therefore, they have to do something about it, and oftentimes it comes in the form of something dramatic and
Hmm.
drastic.
Okay,
Um,
Shannon, I got a
but
question
yeah,
for you. I got a question for you because you ruffled some feathers.
oh
You ruffled some feathers, and I'm not going to let you get away with this. But you said something a few minutes ago. You said that Tim Tebow and Colin Kaepernick and those of the like of that same ilk that are very staunch in their beliefs. You said that they represent the minority.
yeah,
Okay, so in, real quick, what is the majority? Who is the
oh boy,
majority? Who is the majority?
oh look at oh boy, I don't know if you're ready for this, but we're gonna bring it on out there. Look at what they are representing in their belief system. So if we're saying for uh, I'm gonna go with Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is in his belief in what he was doing as far as standing up for the marginalized, the downtrodden, those who were being persecuted, especially those in the African American communities that were being gunned down, and no true actions were being what were really being taken from those heinous acts. I mean, guys are getting shot in the street left and right. At young African American men getting shot in the street, and there was almost as if it was like that's the norm. And Colin Kaepernick is wanting to at the time, kind of take a stance on that man, that no, that's not okay, that's not right. And here's why I say he's in the minority is because those that were, for the most part, that we saw in a lot of those headlines with the killings of those young African American men were police officers. And our country, this is a nationalistic kind of place, man, where we view the red, white, blue, man. That's almost a religion within itself. And the police force of our country in each different state represents the kind of the same nationalistic viewpoint of home of the brave, land of the free, and we were here to serve and protect. But at the same time, you get these actions of, well, they're only to serve and protect in certain situations or certain areas. And so Colin was just trying to bring some light to something that's been going on for decades, for centuries, of that matter. And that is a minority of the fact that most people who believe that Colin Kaepernick was right to do what he was doing, they are the minority. The majority believes he's an idiot. He's making
Hmm.
millions of dollars to throw a football
Hmm.
on a Sunday afternoon. Just keep your mouth shut. Just go along with business as usual, and you're good to go. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
And
But
so,
but but
so, so I want you to continue. I want you to continue because obviously there's always two sides to the argument, and you said the red, white, and blue, and that's huge.
yeah,
There's a lot of on the other side of that argument. There are a lot of people who have who've shed their blood for us to be in this country and to be free to do a podcast like this and felt disrespected and felt angered by what he did, and
yeah.
and they are justified. Now, again, we're not. This podcast is not about religion, or it's not about religion. It's not about politics.
Yeah, right, right, right.
It's about faith, and it's about belief systems and why they're so
Correct.
controversial. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, uh, to put a bow on that for the Colin Kaepernick conversation, him and Tebow and others are the minority because they're bucking against the norm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or what we know to be true, what we know to be safe, and what we know to be honest. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And again, that definitely for the Kaepernick kind of conversation, the table conversation, more or less lies in the fact of we don't want to hear, kind of keep your beliefs to yourself. Keep your faith to yourself. We don't want to hear that. We just want to see you, you know, win us a couple of ball games. We want to see you, you know, do well, give back in the community. But don't tell us, you know, the real and underlining meaning behind what you're doing. But to go back to the Kaepernick conversation, just because, and this is what and I'll be honest, man, this kind of frustrated me a lot in the whole scope of that conversation. That is honestly continuing to happen, and I'm hoping that it does. Um, but just because you don't think something is right, that doesn't mean you don't like the whole system.
Hmm.
You just don't like that part of the system.
Right.
Just because you make a stance for someone, that doesn't mean that you hate the other, or
Exactly.
for that matter, dislike the other. It's just,
Hmm.
hey, this is just something that is out of order, and we want to make a bring some light to it, shed some light on the situation to make the situation right. And to your point that you was sharing earlier, as far as, people not taking the liking to the fact that he was taking a knee during the national anthem. I've had family members. My dad served in the United States Army for 30 years.
Hmm.
Just retired not too long ago. Proud servant of the United States of America.
It's awesome.
Served in the Gulf War.
Hmm.
Served in Afghanistan. Had two tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then
Hmm.
also was in when 9/11 happened, was stationed in Cuba
Hmm.
for about 6 months. So I mean, I've been, through and through when it comes to servicemen and women, and I'm telling you, it's a different breed of man or woman to serve in the armed forces.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. There ain't no two ways about it.
Hmm. I
But
mean,
again, if there's something that is out of order,
hmm.
even if you are a serviceman or woman, even if you are a baseball coach or a football coach, or if you are a teacher, if you are a just a young lady, young man in school, a student, it doesn't matter. If you see something out of order, you would think the belief system that you have would oh well to say, man, maybe we need to do something to look into making sure we get things in order.
Hmm. Man,
So yeah,
yeah, no, that's great, Shannon, I really appreciate the insight. And one of the things I'm most appreciative about of what you just said within these last few minutes, is you actually you shared both sides, of the argument,
yeah,
and I think that the insight that you have as an athlete himself, as a former athlete himself, dealing with social justice issues in your line of work, the relationship that you obviously have with your father and the perspective that you saw as a son of a serviceman, I think that's powerful, and so I appreciate you sharing that.
absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man.
So when it comes to when it comes to faith and performance, and having this complete reliance and trust, what was the greatest example of a player, a teammate? Again, not we ain't talking about religion now, but
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
teammate that just, man, this dude, he had that that staunch belief that he knew it was going to be good. He knew things were going to work out if we just kept pushing as a team, as myself as an individual. What's the best example that you ever saw exhibited in one of your teammates?
Oh man, bro, you gonna put me on the spot like that,
Hey man, it's a hot seat,
huh?
bro. If you ain't ready, man, we can do this another time, dog. You
Hey,
know what I'm
hey, I
saying?
just hope,
If you
hey,
ain't
hey, look,
ready
I
now,
just hope, I just hope none of them boys from '03 gonna listen at this and then gonna be like, bro, why you ain't mention me? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I was that dude. You know what I'm saying? But
man.
all jokes aside, man, honestly, there were three guys in particular I can name, and they all wound up playing in the NFL off
Go
that
ahead,
team.
go ahead, man. Break it down.
Um, the first one, Clarence Moore; second
Hmm.
one, Roger Robinson; and the third one, Jeremy Thornburg. Um, and here's now for Clarence. 6'6", 200 and 10, 15 pounds. So he had that going for him. Roger ran a ran a four. I think he ran a 4.340. The fastest 40.
I'm pretty sure it's 4.2, big dog. I thought it was a
Hey,
4.2.
hey, listen, it
Cause
was
I
the
saw it.
fastest time. Yeah, yeah, it was the fastest time in his and when Cadillac Williams was coming out and
Hmm.
the other fella from Auburn, fastest 40 time for running backs. And so they had that going for them. But Jeremy Thornburg was about 5'11", 185, soaking wet, maybe 6 foot, but 105, 190 pounds. And that dude had a motor. He had a motor that did not shut off. It was no gauge on it. It just kept going and it went full speed all the time. It didn't matter if it was special teams. It didn't matter. Hey, getting out of the huddle. That joker was sprinting out of the huddle, in the huddle. It didn't matter. And
But he could hit
those
too. He could
dudes,
hit too.
oh. Hey, not only hit, he could cover. He could tackle well. Never didn't miss no tackles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They threw him on a few times on offense to just run some go routes and would always find a way to get open. I mean, the dude was just he was just that he was that old school kind of ball player, man. That didn't wear gloves. Had the
Hmm.
little elbow pads and was just out there just getting it,
He was
man.
like that
And
Chuck.
those.
You remember Chuck Cecil?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
He's
yeah,
like
oh
that.
yeah,
He's like
yeah,
that Chuck Cecil, man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
rugged, just blow you up, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, man. And so these those dudes, man, they every like I say, every down, especially um for like I say the defense. Now, since I played corner, you know what I'm saying. I always felt like the defense side of the ball that was the really side of the ball, but that's up for debate for anybody else. Um, but especially on the defense side of the ball, man, you always had to be alert and always had to be on your A game, and Thurnborg, man, that dude was absolutely atrocious. I mean, he was so keen when it came to making sure he was around that ball. That dude was a ball hawker too, man. Had I think he had like 5 or 6 interceptions. I mean, the dude was just all over the place, man. But those guys, so back to your original question, as far as their belief system in themselves and then within their teammates and within the whole structure of the package of what they were doing, the parts that they played to make the team successful. Man, them dudes trusted in their abilities. They
Hmm.
they trusted that, man, I can outrun whoever who's trying to cover me or outjump whoever's trying to guard me. I can shake and get 3, 4, 5 yards of carry.
Hmm.
I can defend. I can cover whatever slot guy, tight end, running back coming out of the backfield. I
Yeah.
can tackle with the. You know what I mean? They just had great faith and abilities within their abilities to do the job, to make sure that they did the job well. I mean, well enough to be in the league for some years. And so, yeah, man, those
That's
three guys in particular came to mind.
that's great, man. That's great. Um, what I'm going to do now, we're going to change gears just a little bit as we get ready to close this conversation, man. It's been really good, man. Really good conversation. I want you to one sentence or one word, whatever comes first.
Yep.
As a pastor, as somebody who deals with so many individuals, who has to have you have to as a pastor, I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have a discerning ear,
Yeah.
and
Oh
you,
yeah.
you have to have a discerning ear, discerning eyes, and a discerning heart to understand where people are coming from as it relates to their triumphs, as it relates to their struggles. I'm gonna throw out a word to you, and I want you to uh, or some words, and I want you to respond in a sentence or less.
Okay.
All right, and you can formulate it in the form of a statement, again, a word, or even a question. But
I got you.
I want you to boil it down. Social justice.
Oh man. Um, if I had to put one word on it, man, Um, I would just put struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Social media,
Dangerous.
mental toughness.
Necessity.
What are you the most passionate about?
Um, man, seeing young people in particular, people in general, but in particular young people, um, finding their purpose in life and walking it out.
Excellent.
Finding their purpose and walking it out.
Excellent. What pisses you off the most?
Them same people that got the purpose and got the but they ain't walking it out.
Oh man, let me ask you this. Because you know you have young kids, I have young kids, and we're
Yeah.
we were once kids ourselves,
Right, right,
and,
right.
and now we're in charge, of the next generation, man.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this current generation, good, bad, or indifferent?
Ah, Joe, man. Man, bro. Um, my heart is heavy at times, and at times I am I am very optimistic about the next generation. Heavy in the sense of man, there's so much power in these kids in their grasp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about it. The cell phone itself is a digital computer within their hands that is able to connect them across the world, and
Mm-hmm.
they have it in the palm of their hand. Bro, we didn't know nothing about a cell phone till we was in college.
You already know.
And so that kind of that's little unsettling to be able to have that kind of and that's just like the small range too. um Man, there's a generation. I just see it from time to time, man. There's a generation of kids that's growing up without fathers. There's a ton of another generation growing up without um without um, solid leaders within the community. Matter of fact, man, I think about the days of when I was a youngster in Tallahassee, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
bruh. We had a pioneer stable, some a patriot, not only in the family but in the community. There was one for let's call it the little stretch of the neighborhood that I stayed in. There was, let me see, one, two, three, four, five, six, kind of like six little different patches of neighborhoods, and they all were family members within these little neighborhoods. But anyway, and there was one, at least one to two. In each one of those different neighborhoods, making that whole community strong and vibrant. And when they started dying off, man, like you can't even hardly find you see them Tyler Perry movies, them big mamas, you know what I mean? You can't
Mm-hmm.
find too many big mamas no more. You can't
Yeah.
find too many men, older men that is willing to sit and teach and walk with young men. You
Mm-hmm.
don't really find that. And so that's kind of troubling. So that's kind of not only on the generation coming up behind us, but that's kind of on us. The onus is on us and the generation before us to be someone to be able um to grab a kid, and just kind of take them under your wing, and just kind of just show them the ropes. You know what I mean? Love on
Mm-hmm.
them, support them. So, but to answer your question, man, that to really sum it up, the thing that really troubles me about the generation that's coming up now,
Hmm.
is I feel like everybody has all these kids want something to say, but they really ain't got nothing to say. They really ain't got no
Hmm.
substance. The substance behind what they're saying is just it's kind of like this me first attitude.
Hmm.
And coming up again, man, we may if I was eating, you was eating. You know what I mean? We all
Yeah.
eating. And now it's kind of like a dog eat dog world. You know what I mean? It's kind of every man for himself. So those are some of the things that really has me kind of puzzled. But some of the things that I really look forward to, some things that really got me, kind of optimistic about, the future of not only our country, but our communities within our country, is seeing young entrepreneurs, these youngsters
Hmm.
starting out young, man, having a good head on their shoulders, being able to invest and learn early, learn quick, what it means to save, what it means to have a portfolio, what it means to have somewhat of a financial business savvy kind of mindset, and a mindset to give back. So some of those things kind of do make me feel hopeful, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
about where the next generation is headed.
Well said, man. And I truly appreciate you sharing that. Again, very holistic view as far as the good,
Yeah,
the bad, and the ugly, man. So I think that paints a very clear picture. And I guess as we close here, the whole premise of our podcast series here is melting point, and sometimes you have to be broken down. The melting point of
yeah,
gold is what, 1,947 degrees. That's how hot it has to get for that goldsmith to be able to burn out the impurities, the dross, the other metals, the other stuff that quite frankly shouldn't be in there.
right.
But when that gold comes out on the other side, it's a beautiful thing to behold. And so the question I have for you is, what was that melting point in your life where you said, you know what, man, I got to go through this fire to to get to the other side? And I want you to share, how that has impacted your life, man.
Bro, I don't know, man. This is it's funny that this is happening because I don't know if I ever got a chance to really expound or really cover in detail um about that my sophomore year in at NAU. And to be honest, bro, you played a significant role in that. This was when this was 2002, and my aunt had passed away, bro, and I was at that point where, I was still contemplating going back for the funeral or should I stay and continue to be with my teammates. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because we was trying to establish a rapport with each other. We got, and it wasn't like you guys didn't understand. It wasn't like the teammates and the folks that was around the program didn't understand. It was, however, one of the coaches, I mean, head coach, as a matter of fact, Jerome Sowers, that joker told me, he said, man, look, you can go back and we are sympathizing, we want you to go back and be with your family, but we have to carry on and try to put things into place to make sure that our team is in the right place. And I think he was trying to tell me basically, hey, you can go back, but as far as having a significant role in this deal, man, that's gonna be out of the window once you get on that plane. And so
Yeah.
I kind of felt, somewhat in a very peculiar place, man. And being young, I wanted to make sure that, man, I was, still a part of the plans for the team.
Hmm.
And I talked it over with my mom, talked it over with some of my family members, and they understood. They said, go ahead and stay. But that was probably one of the worst mistakes I could have made by not going back to visit and to get closure in that whole deal. And so anyway, long story short, man, bro, I fell into a depression almost, like, man, it was rough, man.
Hmm.
And I think you saw me a few times, bro. And one of those times in particular, you had to you just had to say something. And I want to make a point to that. How much do you have to hate somebody? And listen to this. How much do you have to hate somebody
Hmm.
to see them going down a path of destruction and not say nothing to them?
That's powerful. That's
Like
powerful.
you got to really hate somebody to see that their life is heading for destruction, and you just keep your mouth closed, don't say
Hmm.
nothing. You just so the fact that I think it was after like the second go round, you seen me out and about, and you're like, man. And bro, when I tell you that melting point, that I believe that 1947 degrees of pressure was applied when I didn't go back, and my mom came out to visit me to tell me kind of the whole underworkings of what had been transpiring before my cousin or my aunt's death,
Hmm.
and what God was doing in the midst of that. And I noticed, we're not really wanting to bring the religious aspect into the deal, but the reality is this: I was so in a funk, in a depressed state,
Hmm.
that I was lost within myself.
Hmm.
And the breaking point, or the melting point, to then the sifting came, of sifting out those impurities, was our conversations that we would have, that you would have with me, about just these different moments of what these moments could bring, what the beauty within those moments, what the joy that is
Hmm.
hidden underneath those blessings in disguise, if you will. And I'm telling you, man, it was uplifting. It was extremely encouraging. I was able to kind of find purpose in life
Hmm.
afterwards. Let me tell you another quick story. During that whole deal, man, so it wound up going through the season,
Hmm.
the first part of the season. My grades went from, we started out, we got the midterm. Bro, at the midterms, I was at four F's in a C.
So what you're saying is that you weren't really putting it down in the classroom.
Bro, let me tell you what my academic advisor told me. She said, "Hey, Shannon, why don't you do this? Why don't you get back in your truck, go back to Tallahassee, and work at Popeyes?
Oh,
Because you ain't,
no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
bro. I prompt, bro. She said, go work at Popeyes,
She
because
said
right now you just
Popeyes.
you just wasting your time and the university's time and money, and
Oh, buddy.
that's what you're gonna wind up doing anyway. So just go ahead and do it,
Oh,
bro.
no, she
A
didn't.
part of me want to feel some kind of way, but at the same time, bro, she was being extremely truthful. Like, I, I ain't doing it, but wasting everybody's time right now. And so, and again, man, just being able to have those conversations and have those dialogues with you, and you have been a very integral part in allowing me to see the beauty of all of this, and what was transpiring through this. Um, and I'm gonna tell you something. My family they got extremely closer because of all of this. Um, so anyway, man, yeah, bro, that my
Mhm.
sophomore year, bro,
Wow.
absolutely melting point, bro. And
Hmm.
you had a very huge part in allowing that melting point then to produce something very pure, and something that is valuable, and that people are treasuring.
Yeah. Well, hey,
So
man.
yeah,
First of all, man, I'm humbled. And truth be told, you and I didn't talk about this before this podcast. So
yeah,
this is the first time I'm hearing those words. And
yeah,
I know that we've had several conversations through the years. We've been teammates, friends, and so to me that's humbling, man. And I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that at least I did something right. You know what I'm saying, in
yeah.
college. You know what I'm saying. I'm glad I did something right, man. So
Hey,
those.
besides wearing them that leather jacket and them glasses
Hey, come
during the
on, man.
introduction, yeah, 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 yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
Other than
man.
that, you did something else.
Yo, y'all some haters, man. I was looking fly, man. I was looking
Yeah.
fly, man, like always, man.
Hey,
Y'all some
hey,
haters, man.
yeah,
Well,
you right, flower, right.
well, hey, man, Shannon,
Ooh, wee.
I appreciate the insight, man. Very powerful words, and I think that this podcast is going to open up some conversations for a lot of people for a lot of different
Yeah,
reasons. Because you uncovered a lot of different things, from social justice issues to faith, to just being a good teammate, to just like the next generation. And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I look forward to going back and listening, to this podcast. And again, man, we really appreciate you sharing your insight, and hopefully we can get together and do another one down the road.
Absolutely, my man. Well, I appreciate you having me on, bro. This is an honor for me as well.
All right, Shannon, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir, man. God bless.
I'm gone. I'm gone. Something on my mind, do you got a moment? So back swag, I just got a bone it. I've been in these chains and I'm tired of it. I know you with these ties rubbing. Reaching that road, gotta get away. I've been plotting my escape, I think it's a day. Cause I've been in bondage to it, this on the last. Try to free myself, but wasn't qualified.